So Andy Lee has been singing the praise of his fighter Joseph Parker in recent days, following on from his win over Martin Bakole over the weekend, saying that he's arguably the best heavyweight in the world right now, and certainly he is on a good run of form. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from Joseph Parker. Again, we got to take the Bakole win in context. The guy came into the fight way out of shape, very out of shape. Took it on, 50 hours notice, and only arrived in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, literally that day. Probably got 4 or 5 hours kip all day. So you got to take it in context. But nevertheless, his previous two wins, Wilder and Zhang, in particular Zhang, were very, very good wins. Very good wins. And Parker, over the last couple of fights, you've been seeing him develop a lot more. He apparently seems to be hitting harder. He's looking a lot sharper. He has packed on weight, but he's actually carrying the weight very, very well. It's not like he's packed on, a big gut or anything like that. Seems to be mainly muscle in the shoulder region, the upper body region. So, there's a lot to like what you're seeing with Joseph Parker. Now, I said in the immediate aftermath of his fight with Bakole that he definitely deserves the Usyk fight now, and I stand by that. Unfortunately, in the sport of boxing, it's in life in general, I guess, it's not always fair. It's not always fair. And as much as I'd love to, because I would genuinely like to see Joe Parker versus Alexander Usyk, because that's a real interesting fight. Stylistically, I would still favour Usyk, yes, but Parker is altogether a different style. I've seen him fight Dubois before. I think that it would be, yes, more competitive this time around, but ultimately I think it would still, I don't want to say necessarily end the same way. I think this one might go the distance, it might go to points, but I still think it's going to be an emphatic Usyk win. You got to remember that in the Dubois fight the first time around, it was not like Dubois was really in it, and then he was given as good as he got. It was a fairly run-of-the-mill fight for Alexander Usyk. I thought he looked very good in it. And I think even though he will be probably 2 years or nearly 2 years older, again, the time they actually fight, I still see it being much the same. Whereas Joe Parker, I don't know. Don't know how that fight's going to go. He's a member of the Team Fury, so he'll be in camp, you would imagine, with Tyson Fury, Andy Lee, all them. And who better? And as well as that, Andy Lee's been in the corner for Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk. And as well as that, Tyson Fury, again, who better to tell you what it's like to be in there with Alexander Usyk than a man who's gone 24 rounds with him? Yeah, he might have lost both fights, but nevertheless, he still knows what to expect. So he'd have a lot of inside information. So for me, I look at that fight and I think Usyk versus Parker, man, that could be a cracking fight. That could be a really good, entertaining fight, and I'd love to see it. And he's earned it at this stage, to be honest with you. The fact of the matter is, he hasn't had a world title shot since he lost his. Well, in terms of being a challenger, he's not been a challenger since 2016 when he challenged for the vacant title. In terms of an actual world title fight, not since he fought Anthony Joshua, nearly 7 years ago now. So he's long overdue, and the run of form he's on, I mean, he's long overdue a title shot. He is mandatory with the WBO, but God knows when they'll call that. His fight the weekend should have been Daniel Dubois, which would have been an interesting fight for the IBF title. It now leaves Joseph Parker kind of in a stagnant position, so to speak, because it doesn't look like he's going to get a world title, but, the Saudis are not going to just give him a gimme fight. They're not going to, Martin Bakole on 48 hours notice, yeah, a bit of a gimme fight in that regard, but that's not going to be the norm. They don't do that. So you would imagine his next fight will likely be a big fight. So who then would it be against if it's not going to be against Alexander Usyk? Well, for me, Anthony Joshua going into the Dubois fight, when it was the Dubois fight, was picking Joseph Parker, was backing him to win. And I think that was wishful thinking on the part of Team Joshua. At the end of the day, they fought Daniel Dubois as the challenger, but they were treated very much as the A-side. They had a rematch clause, which is bizarre for a voluntary defence, really is. And the fact that he was absolutely steamrolled, I don't know, is that voluntary or is that rematch clause still active? Sometimes they have, time periods when, they come and go. And had Joseph Parker have won, would that have been null and void because it was a Dubois rematch, or is it an IBF? All sorts of kind of this, that, and the other going to get into. But now that it's not the case, why don't we see Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker? Because Tyson Fury is quote-unquote retired. Martin Bakole, I know there was kind of talk about that fight potentially happening in Africa, Nigeria, the Congo, somewhere like that. That's not going to happen now. I mean, Martin Bakole, he would need to get a good win. He would need to try and rebuild his, credibility. I don't want to say necessarily, that's the wrong way to say it because, again, context. But I don't know would that be as easy a sell now as it would have been had he been, say, IBF champion, or at the very least mandatory challenger. Something like that might have been an easier sell to do it in Africa. Whereas I'm just looking at Joe Parker versus Anthony Joshua thinking, right, Parker's on the ascendancy. Anthony Joshua, we don't know really where he's at in his career. We know he's going to carry on, but we don't know what he's going to be like following on from that knockout defeat. And for me, I'm just looking at it thinking, all right, let's do the rematch. Joe Parker versus AJ2. Why not? There won't be a title on that. Well, actually, there would be. There'd be an interim title on the line for what it's worth. So they can market it for the interim WBO title for what it's worth. But that could it do it was in the Principality Stadium when they fought in March 2018. Could it do that again? No. In my opinion, no, it couldn't. Wouldn't do that again. Could it do a Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it would be relegated, if that's even a bad thing, to the O2. But I would predict it would comfortably do the O2, no questions asked. You could probably even still put it on in fact, you could probably definitely put it on pay-per-view. The rematch between AJ Parker, WBO interim title on the line, you definitely still make some good money off that fight. And at this stage, if I was in Team Parker, I'd be looking at that fight and thinking, bring it on. It's a big money fight. We can boast our reputation again because it's a very, very winnable fight. If we win it, we can just say, look at the last 4 fights we've had. Look at who we've beaten. And I still can't get a title shot. And I think that would put a lot more pressure, even from the casual audience. Even if you look at Joshua coming in the back of a knockout loss, they'd still say, look, what's going on here? He beat Wilder, he beat Zhang, he beat Bacoli, now he's beat Joshua. Why isn't he fighting for a world title? Why is it Usyk Dubois? Why is it this? I think it would actually make a lot of sense. So for me, and for Team Parker, I'm looking at that fight and thinking, man, I've got you. And if you're Anthony Joshua, you're looking at that fight and you're thinking, well, I beat you once already. Can do it again. So for both guys, they'll go in confident of being able to do a job. So I think for me, that fight would be actually a really good fight to make right now. Joe Parker, Anthony Joshua. I personally like the fight. What do you guys think in the comment section below? Leave your thoughts below. I hope you enjoyed the video. We should hopefully hear something with regards, certainly Dubois, in the coming days and weeks, because, he'll obviously release a statement on, well, he won't, but can you imagine Dubois releasing a statement? Sick. End statement. But obviously we'll hear more from Warren, from what's going on there. He's actually got a show on this weekend in Bournemouth, so I'd imagine that he will be fielding a lot of questions that are up to that. I think the press conference for that show is actually on tomorrow in Bournemouth. So we'll hear a lot from Frank Warren with regards to that. But yeah, for now, I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, people. Me and Ade are filming Ade and G-Man tomorrow evening, Wednesday, for it to go out on Friday. So back to normal. Can't wait. It's been even though we did a weekly episode last week and the week before, we filmed it all Tuesday fortnight. So we haven't actually done any filming together in 2 weeks now. So looking forward to getting back, looking forward to getting filming, and yeah, it's one of my favourite things to film that show. So stay tuned for that. It's coming out on Friday. We're filming it tomorrow for Friday. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.